Good afternoon to Safari Live with Sam, Chevalier and VM this afternoon. VM will be operating the camera. I'll be presenting you through the bush. It's a live safari, so everything that we see is going to be happening in real time, and we are hoping to bring you anything that you might like to see this afternoon, from zebra to giraffe. At Sydney's Dam, and if we're lucky we might just bump one of those leopards along the way. So we're also going to be most likely going up Buffelshoek to see if we can see something at Buffelshoek Dam. We were very lucky to see the lionesses there 2 days ago. Hopefully they'll be lurking around somewhere around that area later this afternoon. Jamie is out with us this afternoon, and she's going to be going to Cheetah Plains, where we were this morning. Cheetah Plains is a fantastic place to go to, as it gives you the opportunity to see those big open areas, as well as the areas similar to this woodland. So it's savanna biome. For anyone who's interested to know what kind of country we're driving through, it is the savanna biome, which consists about 46% of our country is savanna biome, which is predominantly grassland and woodlands. That's what we're going to be driving through. Home to the leopard, the lion, the kudu, the serval, and the greatest, biggest animal that walks the face of this earth, the elephant. We're going to be going through here, seeing if we can find any tracks of leopards this afternoon. For the time being, let's go say hello to Jamie.
Good afternoon, and it seems as though Sam and myself have quite a similar plan for this afternoon's sunset safari. Having been brutally defeated by Tingana this morning, who managed to run rings around myself and Viam and disappear across into Simbambili. I'm just doing a quick check of Treehouse Dam, one of Karula's favorite areas, before we head off to the Great Plains where the cheetah roam. In other words, to Cheetah Plains, which has been the first time that I've gone there since I came back from holiday. Now, if you are joining us for the first time, my name is Jamie, and I have Dave on camera with me this afternoon. And Dave, this is the first time we've been together for a long time. The fates have been conspiring against us to keep us from going out on drive together. So hopefully we'll have a rocking first drive back as a team. Go see what wonders Cheetah Plains has to show for us. I'm just chatting a little bit about leopards. There were leopard tracks, there were male leopard tracks absolutely everywhere this morning, and Steph tells me that they found some really, really fresh leopard tracks after they'd finished with their bushwalk this morning on the sunrise safari. I'm still trying to work out exactly what was happening last night. I suspect that Tingana came through and just sort of made quite a lot of noise, maybe marked his territory, just expressed his distaste at the presence of Djuma attempting to usurp a little bit of a corner of his territory. That being said, Steph said, or James said, that he thought that the tracks that they'd seen were a little bit too big for tracks for Djuma. So it could be, but it's pure speculation at this point, that Mbula's been hiding out somewhere around here as well. I personally don't think so. I think Tingana just walked very far last night. Patrolled very regularly. I don't think it was Mvula in this area. But unexpected and more unexpected things have happened, and I'm sure most of you have by now heard that our Matimba males, the much beloved Matimba males, who were the dominant males in this area when I first started working in here, two older male lions, very, very large, by the name of Hairy Belly and the ginger male, Matimba, they've turned up on Simbambili. Now, just to sort of give you a rough idea of how strange that is, when the Birmingham boys came and took over this area, they kicked the Matimba males out, and the Matimba males shot south
would you like to try
towards Londolozi, south and to the southwest of where we are now. And the end result was that they sort of established themselves there in that particular area. So why it is that they have decided to return up to this northern section is very strange. Simbambili is a good 10, 15 odd kilometers away from where they might usually be. Most peculiar of events, and hopefully we'll get to see our Matimba males once again before they disappear off somewhere new. The lion, of course, being the iconic animal of Africa, but there is one other, and that is the African elephant, and Sam has some to show you.
We have just got here in time to watch a breeding herd of elephants come down to Sydney's dam and drink some water. They were racing down here to get some water, and have a look at them drinking. It's so cool to see all their trunks in that water. They look very, very thirsty. You can see how they put the trunk in the water, and they almost use it like a straw. And they suck the water up, and then they pour it into their mouth there. And there is a youngster there. You can just see his little trunk in between the one on the furthest one away there. There he is. So he's hiding underneath his mother, or her mother. Hopefully we'll see them go a little bit deeper into the water. They came over that bank that you can see on the other side, and they just came running down towards the watering hole. See, it is a hot afternoon, so we had quite a cool morning, and then it just got hotter and hotter throughout the day. So you can imagine it is a perfect time for some of the elephants to come and just get something to drink. They're making me very thirsty just watching them. There you can see the little youngster. So sweet to see how they get right in the middle of that breeding herd. I think it's even the safest thing for them to do that as well. Purely because watering holes can have crocodiles, but crocodiles aren't such a threat to elephants as they are to most other animals when they come down to the watering hole. There we go. It's interesting to watch the young elephants as they guide themselves through trying to use their trunk. You can see one really small one in the distance there. If you look through those legs every now and then, you just see a little trunk trying to reach for water. And it seems they're starting to venture a little bit further into the water, slowly but surely. This is the same watering hole that we sat out with VM the other day with all the water bucks that were running around this area. The water bucks were fighting with each other, trying to display dominance. There was mating going on here. And then all of a sudden, another group of breeding herds. So we sat here with this breeding herd of elephant that came through, watching all these water bucks together, and then another breeding herd of elephants came through. And it was a very windy day, so it was fascinating to see how the animals were behaving because of the wind that day. Today the wind is not as bad. It's quite a cool wind that's coming through. The wind's coming from a northerly... Oh, can you see that dust cloud in the distance there? something out, because jeepers, that is quite a cloud of dust there. Unless that's a big breeding herd of elephants. I've never been on the other side of that watering hole, so I'm not sure what's there. It's quite a cloud of dust, could very well be it might be animals, it might be a car. But I like to think that it's a breeding herd of elephants that are storming towards the watering areas to come and have a good drink of water. You can quite clearly see that very, very young elephant now. Can't be more than a year old, that young elephant that is playing or just drinking in between its family there. Tony's asking, is there a possibility of seeing a crocodile in this area? Tony, they have seen crocodiles in this area before. I distinctly remember watching Safari Live just before I came, and Scott Dyson was here down by the watering hole, and he thought he saw a crocodile in the distance. So there's always a good chance that you'd be able to see a crocodile here, but I've never seen one. I think it just takes a keen eye. We've got to really look to see if we can spot a crocodile in that water. But those big, in the middle of the watering hole there, you'll see those dead knobthorn tree and those nests that are in the tree, and that is from a red-billed buffalo weaver. So the bird that got injured just by our camp the other day came from a nest very similar to that. And these elephants that are here now will most likely drink this water and then move off together in a direction where they can go and browse on the land. But last time what we saw was they actually were drinking. It was quite interesting to see. They drank and then they went halfway up the bank and they looked around and they decided, no, I think we need more water. And they all just ran right back to the watering hole and drank for another 10, 15 minutes. It's fascinating behavior. We will get to see a little bit of play afterwards. Sometimes after drinking water, some of the young elephants get a little excited and they start playing with each other. It's always fun to watch. But this morning was an interesting look for a leopard. We tried our hardest while we were going through Cheetah Plains and Vuyatela. And while we sit here with these elephants, both Liam and I are quite excited to see if we can get hot on the tracks of a leopard so that we might be able to bring you something exciting as the afternoon progresses. So in that, we're going to move off slowly, see if we can find some tracks, work them, and bring you, hopefully, a leopard for this afternoon. Hopefully these elephants will move towards Vuyatela, our area, a bit later, and we'll be able to get a good visual of them. We can have a look at them. Right over here is a big breeding herd of impala. So we have a big herd of impala that are just coming towards the open areas here, and we've got a big breeding herd of elephants here. So we've got the elephants that like the open areas, much like Cheetah Plains where we saw the wildebeest yesterday and the buffalo. Let's just go and have a look at them, because it's a really big, large herd of impala there. And let's just go and see the male. It's always interesting to go and see what condition the male's in. And often it's the impala male that is the one taken out by a leopard, because after a week of looking after these females, because that male impala has to look after these females for a week or so until he gets too tired to be able to look after them, and he gets taken out by the leopard because he's too tired. So let's actually go. It's quite interesting to see maybe what the male impala might look like right now, because this is a very large group of impala. You can see these are females purely. by the way in which they don't have horns. There he is. So there's the male impala. Look at how dominant and big he is. He's a very good-looking male impala. And these are all his females, and these females have a number of youngsters within them. So when we often see bachelor groups, and these bachelor groups are the male impala that will work together and get fitter and stronger and act dominant. So you can hear the sounds of them as they fight against each other out here in the bush, the male impala, and then they'll go out on their own and try to collect these harems of females. And it's always during this time of year, May, that they have this social structure where they start rutting and collecting the females, because that then allows them to mate, and 7 months down the line is when they'll have the young impalas, and that is the best time for the antelope. This is why, one of the main reasons why this antelope is so successful is because they have their young in November, December, was when the green grasses comes out during the first rains of summer, which gives them the best opportunities to survive. And if they're all having youngsters at the same time, they kind of flood the markets, which means it's much more difficult for predators like lion and leopard to overconsume them. So there's always a much greater market for these impalas. So they're very, very successful antelope. You can find them in many places in Africa. Beautiful antelope. So we're going to carry on. We're going to carry on up here. Those elephants will most likely, well, hopefully, they came in that direction, will come through into this area and move through Vuyatela. So when we come back down a bit later, I'll keep my eye out. We'll come look for the sunset if we haven't found a leopard later, and potentially watch some elephants walk around the beautiful property of Djuma. Wow. Aaron just asked a great question. Which of the smaller animals the smaller carnivores do you find most interesting? That's a very, very good question. You know, I can only go with the caracal. I'm so fascinated by the caracal. You know, even from Bushman tradition in the Cedarburg where I was working, they used to see it as a very, intelligent. They used to call it the star, the bright star, the caracal, and just the beauty of the caracal is already magnificent, and the way in which they hunt is very, very different in terms of the other cats, where they've got these long ears that listen for the different sounds in the bush, and they even got a little bit of fur on the top of their ears, Aaron, and when they feel the flight of a bird flying over the top of their ears, they can even sense that, and it helps them catch that bird. And I've never seen a caracal. I know I often say it live that I would just love to see a caracal, and it's just the hardest thing to see. But I was chatting to Steph, who's one of the other presenters for Safari Live, and Steph was explaining to me that some of the cats out here, like the serval and the caracal, are what we call super predators, which means they've evolved with humans to be able to hide efficiently from humans. So we saw a caracal, we saw a serval the other night when we went driving. We went and took the staff on a bumble around the reserve, and we saw a serval, and it was the first time I've seen a serval at night time. I was very, very excited. So I genuinely love the animals and the carnivores, especially like the young or the smaller cat species that lurk around and don't ever get seen by people. Well, they do get seen, but mainly through camera traps and that sort of stuff. So it just makes, our job that much more exciting when you're looking for something that's just has the ability to get away from us and just be more intelligent and more smart to design itself away from danger. Because we do present danger in some form, in the past we did. There's no danger with us being around now. I would never want to harm them, but I would love to see them. So a caracal or a serval is something that would make me a very, very happy man if I got to see and view them now. A serval has nice long legs, beautiful long legs that help it pounce and jump and move around the bush high speeds. And the serval has the long ears. So have a look at them. Get to know them a bit better. Hopefully one day we'll see them. I was going around, I used to love it so much. I used to go around the mountains around Cape Town. I live on the bottom side of Table Mountain in a place called Hout Bay, which is just on the other side of the mountain, and I often used to go and take my camera trap and go out and, well, I did it once or a few times, not that many times. But I used to go and put a camera trap on the mountain to see what I could find, and there's two caracal that are on Table Mountain that don't ever get seen, but the other day one of them actually caught something on the mountain and brought it up in a suburban area, in an urban area, killed something, I don't know what it was, and brought it up a tree in an urban area. Someone got a photograph of it, which made me very excited. So, James Richard, you're asking which cat population is the greatest in the Sabi Sands. It is going to be most likely the lions. The lions have the greatest, they're on top of the food chain in terms of cats out here. That's with the lions. So those are larger cat species. I didn't catch that they're the smallest. So the smaller cat species, it's a good question, James. I'm actually not sure on the answer. The smaller cat species that we get are everything from the wild cat and to the caracal, the serval, and not the civet, the caracal, serval. And I'm actually not sure what the most dense is. I think it could be the wild cat if I had to take a guess. I used to have a wild cat that used to come into my house all the time and kill all our birds in Cape Town. Very cool, very beautiful looking cat. You can just imagine a domestic cat with lots of stripes and very green looking eyes. He used to come to our house about once a week and just have a huge home range. We used to call it Gypsy because we didn't know whether it wanted to stay or leave. It was, Gypsy. Beautiful cat. So I do love my cat species. So Leopold's interested in domesticate. Well, not interested. Is interested to know if you could domesticate a caracal. Yeah, Leopold, I'm not sure on that answer, to be honest. I don't know of anyone that's ever domesticated a caracal. But I can definitely tell you that around Africa they've domesticated caracal, or they've domesticated all types of cats, from cheetah to lions even. So, they took them under and had them in cages and that sort of stuff, if you call that domestication. But I'm not a fan of any kind of domestication of any wild cat. It's not good in terms of, most of the time their personalities and their characters are born to be wild. So if you try and domesticate them, it's like very similar to the squirrel that I had. I had a pet squirrel called, it wasn't a pet, it injured itself. And my dad got it in the garden and brought it in, and we raised it, and it didn't survive. And that was purely because it was wild and it needed to get out. Let's link to Amy, who's going towards Cheetah Plains to see maybe what she can find out there.
For me, the novelty of Cheetah Plains still hasn't worn off. I'd only been there, I think, maybe twice that I'd been on cheetah plains before I went on holiday. So excitement of exploring once again, and maybe this time trying to get a little bit less, not lost, disoriented. No, not disoriented, I still knew where north was. I'm not quite sure what the right word is. Not knowing exactly what road I was on is maybe a good description. It's always an exciting prospect. And it is interesting as we travel along here. We're traveling on the main entrance, the main access route to Cheetah Plains. But the way that the boundaries are sort of cut in this area is such that the land to the left and to the right of us is not Cheetah Plains at all. So if we were to see something now, we would have to watch it disappear off and then sort of close our eyes and pretend that we didn't see it. Because to the right lies Chitwa, and to the left lies Nkoro. It is only once we hit these power lines up ahead that I know that we've found the boundary of Cheetah Plains. It's interesting what a strange sort of shape it is in terms of being a piece of land. Fascinating, and I'd love to know the history behind the choices of where to put boundaries. Of course, very often river systems and power line roads where there was pre-existing infrastructure will naturally act as a boundary. But human beings are usually quite good at picking straight lines for their territorial boundaries, so to speak. And it's an interesting comparison to leopard. We're talking about this on our long walk where Steph, Wiem and myself had no bushwalk signal. Let's just go through this dip. Sorry about that, just wanted to go in case we lost the signal there. But Steph, Wiem and myself here going to send this to Sam.
So we're just coming up towards Buffelshoek Dam now. Slowly, we've just found leopard tracks moving up on the side here, on the northern side of this road. So we're just going to see if we can work them and see if they follow up here. Often Kajima comes in and walks along the road and then goes back out and walks back on. So potentially, if we just drive on a little bit more, we might see him pop out and walk on the road. This is the exact place I was actually with Wiem when we found Kajima, and we found tracks and we worked them, and we found that beautiful male leopard, but we didn't get a good look at it. He just came in quickly and then went straight out onto Buffelshoek's territory. So we're just going to have a look, see if there's any tracks. So the tracks are very significant. You can find three lobes that come out quite similar to, it comes out like that. And you can find them, it comes out three bumps at the bottom that'll tell the difference. And that's what we're looking for, the three little lobes at the bottom. Can you still see tracks there? Yeah. So it could very well be that the leopard has walked up in this direction and gone towards Buffelshoek Dam to go and get something to drink. So we're going to keep our eyes peeled for anything that could be walking through here. Good afternoon, Raisa. You would like to know, are there any updates on Shadow and her cubs? There haven't been any updates so far, Raisa. I definitely heard we have a group where we chat to everyone, and there was a female leopard that was seen with cubs in the very southern boundaries that we can't traverse, so that could have been her, but I doubt it because, you know, her territory is more here on Djuma and Chitwa. I haven't seen Shadow, of course, so I don't know her that well, That could have been, they could have just found Nkanyeni, who also has cubs. So there's Karula, Nkanyeni, and Shadow that have the cubs. And we haven't seen them for quite some time. Well, 1 week, which is not a long time out here in the bush, especially when you've got a female leopard with cubs. I've only seen Karula's cubs once, and that was very, very exciting. So there's no tracks going down here. Just going to look in this drainage line. Have a look both down here through this drainage line and see if you can see anything that might be moving. This is often where they like to go in the heat of the day, down these drainage lines to kind of get away from the heat. So the cool air will come down here. There doesn't seem to be much movement over there. And on this side, this is where we saw the hippo out of water the other day, which was exciting. It's not often you get to see a hippo out of water. I would love to see one of those female leopards that race. We're going to do our best to work tracks and see if we can find them ourselves. But as soon as anyone on the radio also says that they've seen a leopard with cubs, we'll make sure we can try and get there today. So as you know, Jamie's gone through to Cheetah Plains to see what you can find there. Nkanyeni is always a possibility on her list. I'll be very excited for her if she manages to see that beautiful female leopard. Nothing on the termite mound there. They also love to be on termite mounds. Termite mounds provide not only warmth in the mornings when it's very, very cold, because termite mounds are warm, but they also provide vantage points. To be able to sit on a termite mound and possibly see a steenbok or a duiker moving through the thicket will give her the best chance of being able to get some food. The only male leopard I've seen since I've been here is Tingana, when he was mating with one of the females, which I'm not sure who that was that one time. I think it was, not sure where it was. But he looked very tired. He was a very, very tired Tingana. He didn't move from that one spot for a few days. And we saw him up a tree with a kill, which was incredible. Very lucky to have seen Tingana. It was Tundi, that's who it was. So Tundi and Tingana were mating when I first arrived. So that was about a month ago since that happened. I'm not sure if Tingana has been mating since then. I know that there has been loads of tracks on our property recently, but also walking through. So we find tracks, we go to the other side, and it's past. Like Tingana's tracks went down into some Sibamile this morning. Nothing down there. But that's a beautiful tree there. So it's still fairly hot in the afternoon, so the cats are most likely going to be hiding underneath these trees or lying within the trees themselves. So I'm also just looking beneath the thickets here to see if I see a leopard lying down or potentially lying up in a tree. Sometimes all you see is this tail dangling from out of the tree. It's amazing to see. Very lucky if we see that. It's only happened a few times in my guiding career when you look at a tree and all you see is a tail. Oh. Paul, thank you so much for reminding me to get some tusks for Elvis. We can actually do that right now. Let's go and do that. So as we move up here, we'll go down to Cheetah Cut Line, and I'll see if I can find a location and get some tusks for Mr. Ellie. He needs some tusks. He's just standing there without a tusk. Actually, I think he's got one on the other side. I can't tell you, last night, I don't know who was on safari with us yesterday afternoon, but that male lion that just came through onto Cheetah Plains from about 500 meters away was one of the most incredible experiences I've had as a guide. Just sitting there looking through my binoculars, and all of a sudden this big, beautiful, dark mane just pops out. It was magical to see that. It was incredible. And have him walk all the way from there straight past my vehicle. And here is what we were looking for. So this is a flaky thorn acacia. You can tell it's a flaky thorn acacia because of the flakes that you can see coming off it over there. And this is spiderweb over here. So elephants love the flaky thorn acacia. I'm just gonna, I want to, let's see if I can get, here we go. I don't know how well this is going to work. See, we've got one over here already. So we've got one tusk there. So he doesn't look that good with one tusk being too long than the other, but don't worry, I'll sort that out a bit later. Actually,
that's a legit look.
That's quite a cool look. Elvis has got quite a he's got quite a look going. What do you think, Vian?
Oh, he's now big tusk.
Yeah. He's got a sword coming out of his sword tusk. Okay, Elvis. So tusks do vary in size from every now and then. So you do see some elephants that have a short tusk and have a long tusk. So this is not a different thing to see. Sometimes you will see an elephant that has two very, very different looking tusks. So that's no different with our friend Elvis over here. And Elvis, let's see if we can find something cool this afternoon. If you have a look here, all these plants that we are seeing here are all round leaf teaks. And Elvis, much like every other elephant, would love to eat that. They come and break off these branches and strip. And just while we're talking about Elvis elephants and the plants that they like to eat, let's go see Jamie with an elephant.
I was just saying to Dave that I'm somewhat envious of Elvis the elephant, and that perhaps we should think about acquiring a dashboard ornament of our own, when we came round the corner and found some real Elvis in the flesh, and without acacia-themed tusks, but actual ivory ones. Let's go see if we can't sneak forward a little bit. I've just been watching this female. She's keeping an eye on us. One of the largest females in this herd, and it's her job to act as the protector. And it's fascinating to watch the way that this dynamic will play out, elephant sighting after elephant sighting, with the matriarch either positioned at the back of the herd or leading them from the front, and either a sister or a cousin, another female of a similar age, or another couple of females of similar ages, keeping the rest of the group safe. It's the kind of dynamic that is incredible to witness. You can actually really see that angular head of an older female. You see, if you look carefully, how from the top of the head it moves out sort of flat and straight, and then angles sharply downwards towards her trunk. Now with a big bull elephant, that profile is much more rounded. You've got much thicker, not bases, but sort of a much thicker forehead, more bone around the base of or around the top of the trunk. It's interesting. I'd like to know what the physiological reason is behind that. Whether it's something to do with competing for females, maybe having a little bit of extra bone, like a buffalo bull, for those rare occasions when they do actually fight. Maybe that's an advantage, having some extra cushioning to protect their brains. Let's go forward a bit now that they're moving. And just let the engine run for a moment. Everybody's perfectly relaxed. We're actually on our way. I think we've had a similar idea to these guys. We were on our way to 3 in a row pan to see what's happening at the water's edge, and I think that these ladies might have a similar idea. But at the moment, there's some pressing concerns for lunch that have been more important. Fractionally further forward. Here we go. Okay, big girl. Aren't you beautiful? And there's the most glorious smell pervading the air. Can you smell that, Dave?
Yeah.
It smells like it's the wild aniseed that they've been trampling all over. It's a very rich, herby smell. In this case, an almost licorice-y type scent. And I'm just looking to see if I can find some to show you what I mean. And it's intermingled with a sage and an almost lavender type scent. One of those things about cheetah plains is that I've noticed far more, I don't know if it's because there's just less grass cover, but I've noticed far more perennial plants like the wild sages and the wild aniseeds. The elephants seem to enjoy them as well. Such a peaceful setting. And on this hot afternoon, those air conditioning units flapping away. Oh, there is such a glorious smell, I cannot begin to describe it. It's all those scents plus the musky, grassy scent of elephant combined. Really is quite glorious. Now, ideally, what we'd like to do is get around this herd and approach from a different direction. It's because generally elephants don't appreciate being followed from behind. It's more a matter of trying to let them come to us and just put ourselves in a good position where they have the opportunity to do so. But since we are here, let's just try get a little bit closer. We'll get a better view. Now, Evan, welcome to the sunset safari. Let's try and do this as subtly as possible. Now, Evan would like to know, in an elephant herd, obviously you have the matriarch. Are there other mammals that have a similar system with an alpha female? And we're going to talk nice and softly as we come through here. There's a baby quite close to me. It's okay, little one. Don't want to scare you. That antenna out of the way. Oh, just. Trying to sneak up without upsetting them at all. So Evan, yes, absolutely. Different animals do have alpha-female systems. The truest matriarchal system in the greatest sense of the word is actually the spotted hyena system. So with spotted hyenas, the females, very unusually, for mammals, the females are actually, little ones running across the road now to go somewhere where it feels a bit safer. So in spotted hyenas, the females are far larger, and in fact, in a way, it is actually a truer matriarchy than the elephant herd. The elephant herd might be female-led, but it is not female-dominated, and a large bull elephant will be able to push his weight around, so to speak. It just so happens that they've evolved for the males generally not to associate with the herds. You could say the same thing about lions, although a lion pride doesn't necessarily have an alpha female, but the older, most experienced lionesses will take the lead. And then there's the wild dog system. where you have an alpha male and an alpha female. And only the alpha female will breed, just like in dwarf mongoose as well. And you get such a wide variety of different social structures between the different social animals that it's actually incredible to witness. Impala, for example, don't really have much of a hierarchy until it becomes breeding season, at which point they have a seasonal harem, whereas a zebra herd will have one male that dominates the females and keeps them in, as part of his harem or his collection, and then collects more as he goes along, but with a female that will usually lead the herd and be his favorite and his highest ranking. But it is the elephants that we always view as a truly matriarchal system. And I think one of the reasons is because they have such a reputation for intelligence and wisdom, and it's a well-earned reputation. With a life expectancy of up to 60 years old, these ladies have a lot of experience underneath their metaphorical belts. Underneath their trunks, maybe, or in their trunks. I'm not sure, pushing it a bit far, I think. But it is the wisdom of the females that will get the elephant herds through the next few years, which I say the next few years because I think they're going to be incredibly tough as we go into this drought. Oh, head shake. And on the subject, see, on Twitter you were wondering how it is that an elephant matriarch is decided. You know, is she democratically elected, or what factors go into choosing the elephant matriarch? Generally, Jessie, it is the oldest and the most experienced female. Quite often, once she reaches an age where she is no longer capable of performing the duties of the matriarch, quite often her oldest daughter will step in and take over, or the next eldest female. That being said, Jessie, I think that we're going to discover all kinds of wonderful things about the way that elephant dynamics work in the next few decades. It's one of my favorite things. It's something that I've been very fascinated by over the last few weeks, is the way in which our understanding of animals has changed completely. And it always makes me wonder about how much more we have to learn about the way in which they work. Is this little baby predestined for a future as the matriarch? Has she been chosen? Well, I must just make sure that it is a she before I say that. Oh, watch the stick. Did look like a little female. As far as we know, no, it isn't really inherited necessarily. But from what research has suggested, it very often is the eldest daughter of the previous matriarch, and perhaps she teaches. Perhaps she passes on the wisdom of her experience as she goes along. Who knows? I would love to know. I would love to be able to talk to elephants for a day. Hello, big girl. You are beautiful. This cow, as she wanders down the road in front of us, is not the largest I've ever seen, but she's still relatively sizable. In country, you were just wondering about how strong their bones must be to support that amount of weight. And yes, they do have incredibly solid bones. What's incredible to think about is when you look at those feet of theirs, it looks so cushioned and flat. It's very easy to imagine them having one sort of solid bone that sits at the bottom there. But elephants actually walk, believe it or not, on the tips of their toes with a spongy cushion underneath that supports the heel. There you can even see the toenails of that elephant. Phenomenal to think that they are basically like a ballerina on the tips of all 5 toes. That is the way that their feet are structured. Hard to imagine and hard to picture, but you'll just have to take my word for it in that respect. and then incredibly dense, very, very strong bones. We have an elephant leg bone that Brent found one day whilst following cheetah off-road. And it is roughly up to my chest in terms of height, and that's just the femur of the elephant, and it's probably about this big. It's about this wide in diameter. Really solid, compact bone. Now, in terms of how much they weigh, country, a young elephant, sort of reaching sexual maturity, will probably be about 3 or so tons, and they will go right up to 6 tons, so 6,000 kilograms, which equates to 13,000 pounds. So they are enormous animals. I'm just going to duck my head down so that you can have a look at them, because I don't want to push them any further or get any closer. That poor little one at the back has really been struggling with constipation since we arrived. Hasn't quite managed to excrete as much as it would have liked to. She's the one who's struggling. It's had its tail up the whole time. Now, elephants are known, as I said, for their incredible wisdom, and to finish off with Country's question, yes, they can grow to enormous sizes, and that one of the reasons is because they continue to grow throughout their lives. And that's why I mentioned the known wisdom of an elephant, an adult elephant, 60 years worth of learning. I also said that we don't know everything there is to know about them. And James Richards, you would like to know if they ever engage in interspecies communication. They certainly engage in interspecies interaction. Shame little one, tail swishing like that. Yes, they definitely engage in interaction. They very often chase other animals away from the waterhole. I know that's not what you mean, but it is a level of communication to an extent. They sort of grumpily let the other animals know that they are not feeling terribly fond of their presence. Do they communicate with other animals? Not as far as I know. I don't know 100% for certain that they don't, though. We may discover that they do. There was an interesting time in the Pilanesberg Game Reserve about 25 odd years ago, where young Kruger bulls were attacking rhino for an unknown reason. And so one of the suggestions that was put forward was that they were actually trying to mate with the rhino. Another suggestion that was put forward was just that they were suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome during the dark era of the culling of elephants in the Kruger National Park. That, thankfully, has long since been stopped. But the young bulls that had grown up experiencing that sort of trauma were acting up and acting out of character. And those are the best examples I know of natural wild interaction with other species. There are many, many, many examples that you would be able to find on YouTube of domesticated elephants, if you could call them that. You may decide how you would like to term that, but elephants living in human company that have been known to interact with sheep and with dogs. And in one curious case, I think there was even an elephant that was friends with a llama. And it's important to remember that these guys they're ultimately social animals, particularly the female. The herd life is all that they know, and if human beings artificially take that away from them, then it's only natural that they're going to form bonds with another different, whatever they can find, essentially. So you'll find lots of cases where the scenario has been artificially created. I always find those slightly sad, though. It's like the poor elephant is desperately looking for company. Oh, quick dust bath after the snack. Just little one, so young that it hasn't even started growing its tusks yet. This is the kind of afternoon that is exceptionally enjoyable for all of us who absolutely love elephants. Just a peaceful, quiet tranquil setting. And we get to talk about the amazing animals that they are. And of course, that tiptoed stance that we were talking about earlier in answer to that question was the reason, or one of the things that Donna has commented on. Donna Lynch has said that she's always amazed at how incredibly quiet elephants really are. And that's when I said that they walk on their tiptoes. They do walk on their tiptoes. If you can sort of imagine their foot structure like this. And that cushioning, that layer of fat underneath, that fat and connective tissue that sort of holds it down and allows the foot, along with the sponge that forms the base, just spreads out that weight as a shock absorber so well. And yes, they can be so quiet. Just when we were setting up Cheetah Plains antenna to get here for the first time, an entire breeding herd snuck up on us. There were two guys there. Brent was one, I was the other. And there was a whole group of people, and somehow an entire elephant herd of at least 20 elephants managed to all of a sudden be right up close to us, without a sound announcing their arrival. Hello, guys. Let me try go forward a little bit. Didn't quite have the momentum I wanted there. Sorry, girl. Sorry. All right. Thank you, big girl. Just a gentle head swing to let me know that that was quite far enough. Thank you very much. And I just want to, Dave, can we look at that elephant that's at the back there? This poor little elephant at the back is still struggling with his constipation problem. You don't often see that. And this whole time we've had this sighting, he's just been struggling to get the rest of his dung out. And the reason I'm drawing your attention to that is actually because it's quite a vital part of the elephant's physiognomy. The fact that because they have to eat constantly to maintain their body weight, just imagine if you needed to eat all day, every day, and they tend not to digest their food all that well. Little boy. I'm sorry, Dave, I didn't take my foot off the brake, but I'm going to now.
Right.
That's why there's the little jerk, the wobble. Sure. But it's an important part of their physiognomy because that's one of the reasons why they are so water dependent. They're eating so much roughage, there's so much fiber in their diet and indigestible cellulose that they need to have huge amounts of water to actually, first of all, digest what they can, and second of all, ease the passage of the rest of it. And this poor little elephant obviously hasn't managed terribly well. His digestive system not doing him any favors at all. Might even be a large stick that has gone undigested and just clogging everything up. They are, for the most part, relatively inefficient digesters. Little one now sniffing his own dung in sheer curiosity. Too cute. One day soon, this little boy's tusks are going to start coming through. And Dean, you were wondering if I have ever seen a bigger tusker. And the answer is yes, I have seen some relatively... Oh, what? What are you trumpeting about? Highly entertaining. So no, I have seen some very large tuskers. I'm not sure if they would be large enough to qualify as big tuskers or great tuskers. I have been to the Elephant Museum in Letaba, where there are some extraordinary examples at that museum of the largest tuskers that have ever lived, with tusks easily 3 times my body weight and double my height. to observe. The most phenomenal biological adaptation and use of a canine tooth, essentially. I'm going to stick around with this herd for the moment, just because I think that this young male is going to be doing some highly entertaining things for us. So while we do and while we wait for them to peacefully make their way to water, let's find out what Sam is up to.
So I've been told you've been having a little bit of entertainment, an interesting time with some elephants there, talking about big tusks and how you can find some of them big tusks in the museums and such. Well, our friend here, Mr. Albus Eli, has quite a big tusk himself. He's got a huge tusk actually. He's found himself a little plant to eat as well on our mantle, oh, not the mantelpiece, what do you call it? The dashboard. And we just found tracks a little bit earlier of male leopard tracks that I was just told that they were found this morning. So we're just going to carry on driving around this area to see if we might be able to pick up on more tracks. The Mvula was seen close to Mvubu Road. So our plan now is just to go through this area, see what animals we might be able to find on the way down towards Mvubu Road. Potentially all the way up to Treehouse Dam later, where we might be able to find Karula. So we're going on the search this afternoon. Hopefully we'll be successful. It's always very exciting when you do track and find something on your own. So me and VM have got our eyes peeled to see if we can see anything moving around the bush. I've seen loads of lions lately. I haven't actually seen a leopard in quite a few days. So I'm quite excited to see if I can find the spotted cat. I think the last cat I saw were those beautiful cheetah on Cheetah Plains. There's two of them with Dave a few days ago. So of course the leopard has rosettes, not spots. Our cheetah has spots. So this is an animal pathway over here. So it's always good to have a look and see if there's any tracks on the animal pathway. You can see it quite clearly as it goes through here. We've got some elephant tracks. There's an elephant track right here. There's an elephant track. And you've got some buffalo tracks there. So I'm just going to follow there. There's no leopard track there. Or lion track. So let's carry on. See what we can find. Potentially there'll be a leopard walking on the other side of that track. So Leopold would like to know, are there foxes in Africa? There are so many foxes. So many foxes. They're the Cape fox, specifically, which is also a beautiful animal to view. Very difficult to find at the same time. Looks quite similar to that of the jackal. And you get the Cape fox in the Cederberg Mountains in that area. Incredible animal to see. Leopold. Hopefully one day I'll get that opportunity. There are big elephant tracks walking on the road now. So there's every chance that we might come across a very big elephant bull. I did smell some must a little bit earlier. So there could be a big one lurking around here. We had an incredible morning of birds this morning as well, which was cool. I really enjoyed looking for birds. I know that I think it was Joey from Australia. Was it Joey from Australia? Got 100 birds this morning, and that was the African dusky flycatcher. Beautiful bird. I was really excited when I saw that bird. I got back to camp and everyone was like, we see that bird quite often, Sam. And I was very, very excited to see that bird. So, lastly, well done, Joey, for getting to 100 birds. I look forward to getting to that at some point. Those elephants are quite active with Jamie, so let's go and enjoy some fun with elephants.
Still enjoying this absolutely magical sighting. It's the only way that I can describe a sighting like this. These females come right out to us. The little one is still desperately trying to blow his nose. I think he's got something up it. I don't know if it's dust or something similar, but he just keeps blowing, sort of semi-trumpeting. Maybe he's trying to practice his trumpet and he hasn't quite got it right. Also at the same time having a dust bath, kicking it up and then throwing it over his shoulder. In the meantime, Mom tackling what looks like one of the most unappetizing bushes in all of the Sabi Sands, the somewhat savage zebra wood tree. Just going to turn that radio off for now. We don't need it to be leaping at us. Full of uncomfortable looking spines. And Dave and myself were just talking about what it must be like to have to eat all day, constantly. And it's not even easy food to eat. Something like this zebra wood, which is actually can be even more dense than lead wood. Incredibly uncomfortable, and yet an elephant's mouth totally impervious to it. We spoke about big tuskers and how large elephants can grow, and it seems as though Sam's tracking has gone well, so let's go and have a look at the spectacular male of the species.
Welcome back, everyone. I told you we were on tracks of a very big elephant. He is very aware of us at the moment. I made sure that we had some distance, so I got into a position where we are safe. But he is very aware of our presence. He is huge. We saw the same tracks of this elephant not so long ago. And, wow, the feeling I get being next to such a large elephant is just remarkable. Look at those tusks. He's clearly in must. You can smell him I smelt him from a very, very long way. Have a look, he's still very interested in us. There he is, there he goes, he's still looking. He wants to see what we're doing. I gave him space, I gave him distance, so that he felt safe, because this road is closed. As you can see, there's bush everywhere, and he just came straight up. Now he can really get that smell. Can you smell that, VM?
Sour oros.
What an incredible sighting of that big elephant bull. That smell is just intense. Let's go and track a leopard. Off to Jamie with the other elephants.
Well, hopefully Sam's leopard tracking goes as well as his elephant tracking has gone, and that he manages to produce some for you. In the meantime, I just find myself unable to resist the lure of an elephant sighting like this. I'm just looking into her gorgeous brown eye. And there's always a special feeling when an elephant looks at you. It's like there is somebody looking back. Oh, girl, don't turn away now. We were just discussing your lovely eyes. Maybe she's a bit shy. I think she's a bit shy, Dave. She didn't want us looking deep into her eyes. I was going to talk about her gland as well. Ah, yes, perfect. Let's try look into his lovely little eyes, since our female was playing a bit camera shy. Oh. Oh. And another coming from the left. Oh, no, he's also playing camera shy. All the elephants planning on hiding their beautiful brown eyes behind the branches. They're just being coy, Dave. Just a little bit coy. They'll give us an opportunity in a moment. But we'll have a look at our little sneezy elephant while we continue on. I have a question about, with matriarchal societies, and it's actually not less so with, oh, hello. Are you feeling less shy now? Would you like to come and show us your gorgeous eye? Now, this collection of youngsters would belong to both the one adult female and the other. And within elephant societies, there are always, each and every single female will have her opportunity to have a baby, unless there is something physically wrong with her. But Colorado Boone, you were wondering, or you were asking, what are you doing, you silly thing? In matriarchal societies, such as a dwarf mongoose, you were wondering how the females that are not the alpha resist the urge to breed. And I should probably clarify in saying that dwarf mongoose and African wild dog are not technically... Oh, hello. Oh, yes. Oh, you're very scary. Oh, you're very scary. Oh, look at the little one starting now as well. It's my best when they do that. Come along then. Come along, you're so brave. You're so brave. Oh, are we done now? I'm very scared. Please don't do that again. I might get a fright. Yes, you tackle that zebra wood. It's much more impressive. Back to the alpha female and male in a society like a dwarf mongoose. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I want that stick. I want that one. No, oh, okay, fine, you have it. It doesn't look very tasty. Neither of them look like they're enjoying it. Sorry, Colorado Boone, I will get to you in a moment in your question. It's just they're being a little bit entertaining. And as it starts to cool down, they are going to be even more entertaining to spend some time with. Right, let's try and answer poor... Scraping of its foot in the dirt. I think we're going to have a little bit of a dust bath. Shame, sorry, Colorado Boone. Shall we try for the fourth time to answer your question? The alpha system, like the dwarf mongoose and the wild dog, that's not actually classified as a true matriarchal system. It's totally different. It's an alpha system with an alpha female and an alpha male. The females that are submissive to the alpha female do not necessarily resist the urge to breed, and they do often fall pregnant and have young ones. It's just not often that those young ones survive, whether through active action by the alpha female actively killing them, or by preventing the little ones from getting any attention, the offspring of a submissive female. And actually what quite often happens apparently in skirmishes amongst mongoose clans or families, let's just watch our eddies as they start to disappear. Look at that one's eye at the back there, Dave. That female at the back. Oh, she's really dashing across so fast. She's got a very watery eye. There's actually something's happened to her eye. She's probably poked it with some kind of a branch or a thorn. So what often happens with the mongoose families, just like that, our elephant sighting has come to an end. I was so enjoying that. Let's go forward, enjoy a little bit more time with them before they disappear. And then we shall talk about the mongooses and what happens in clan skirmishes, and I'll explain all about that when we have an opportunity. But let's just enjoy the last few moments with our lovely Ellies. Oh, there we go. A gentle and subtle stop on behalf of the dust in Rusty's brake pads. And as our little entertaining elephants disappear into the thicket, Virginia, Norwood, you were wondering, do baby elephants have baby teeth? And the answer is yes, they do. They even have milk tusks, which very seldom erupt to the point that you can see them, but they do have milk tusks that they then lose. They also have milk molars that they will lose when they get their proper full-on adult molar teeth. So yes, absolutely. they do have they do get baby teeth, just like puppies get puppy teeth and human beings get milk teeth. Baby elephants do as well. I've never seen one. I've never encountered one in the wild, so I don't know what happens to them when the elephant loses them. I do know that the growth of the teeth for an elephant does hurt them, just like a teething toddler starts to whine and to cry because it's sore. But elephants have a very interesting technique where they'll actually go and eat the leaves of a tree known as a silver cluster leaf, or one of the Gymnosporia species, so the spike thorn trees. And that is very astringent, and it acts almost like a tea gel to help them feel better. And there's one of those trees there, Dave, the one with the very pale coloured leaves, just sticking out quite close to us. You got it? Perfect, thank you. Now, a teething baby elephant would tackle a tree like that to make it feel a little bit better. And we're going to move on now as our elephants have disappeared into the thicket. You can see why the silver cluster leaf at the back is called the silver cluster leaf. We're going to go and see if we can find any more of them drinking around the pans, or indeed any other wonders of Cheetah Plains. While we do that, let's find out how Sam's tracking is going.
So we are now close to a drainage line, where we may potentially see something walking through. I've got my binoculars just to have a look to see if I can see any young cub that might be running in the sand there. And this is where they were last seen, from my understanding. It was close to Leadwood Road. But we're going to see if we can listen for any alarm calls. That's why it's quite nice to be silent in the vehicle when tracking a leopard, because we can hear if we can see the sounds of a monkey alarms. We've got some impala just ahead of us. Just through the brush here, you might be able to see those impala that are walking. There. Can't see them right now. There they go. Looks like a bachelor herd of impala. So they're now going down into the drainage line. And if there is anything that might be down there, we could potentially hear the sound of the impala communicating to that leopard that it can see it. There they go. Oof, we also just got a really cool bird that just flew into the tree here. There it goes, there's one over there. That is the helmet tripe. There goes the helmet trikes. Beautiful, they fly together. We've seen this bird, so we've got this bird on our bird list already. White-crested helmet trikes. And there's another bird that looks very similar to that. It's called the Rhett's helmet trike. Truly are beautiful birds. I really like, they have quite a nice yellow eye that I enjoy seeing. But it was so incredible to be with that elephant now. That must have been the biggest elephant bull that I've been with, and I genuinely smelt it from about, it was like 2-3 minutes before we saw that elephant. I could smell that very, very strong smell of an elephant bull in musk. And it was incredible. That whole feeling, when it approached us, there was very, very thick bush on either side, and he came across here, he felt uncomfortable straight away, and I moved back into a position where he could just feel comfortable walking past us. I tell you, being close to animals that are that big is just incredible. Buffalo. Have a look at the buffalo. So it's always exciting going down and looking in these areas to see what might be here. And we've just come across 2 buffalo bulls that are down by this little watering hole, this pan. So we've managed to see, oh, and there's a nyala. There's a nyala right here. Just gonna go a little bit closer. beautiful, one of the most stunning looking antelopes out here in the bush. Have a look at that nyala. And those horns and the hair on the top of its back. Just amazing. Wow, so we've just, in the space of a few minutes, seen an impala, a buffalo, and a beautiful nyala. Gracie's asking, you know, do you think they know that we are sorry that people hurt the elephants? If that was your question, Grace. Gracie's aged 8. It's always great having you on the show, Gracie. Well, I hope they know, because we definitely are sorry. We definitely are sorry when it comes to when people do hurt them. I hope they do. Great. There's a commendator. That was so cool. I don't know if you managed to get a glimpse of that. That was a commendator. So there's quite a lot of activity going through this area. Oh, so we're coming down into the drainage line now. Gracie, just to answer your question, I truly do think, or I hope, that elephants can feel what our emotions are towards them, so that, you know, when we see an elephant, the way in which we communicate with an elephant, we'll see how that elephant communicates back with us, in the sense that if I stayed with that big elephant now and I stayed on the road there, he might have felt quite threatened, you know. So we do communicate with elephants in the way in which, you know, if we get too close to them, they'll get angry. If we give them distance, you know, they feel better. But I do think that elephants and all sorts of creatures have much more complex emotions that we can understand. And I truly love elephants very much. That's why we've got an elephant over here, Gracie. He's got a nice little branch and a nice big tusk, which he's gained this afternoon. I think he was quite excited when he saw that big elephant bull coming through. So we've already seen quite a bit of life down by the drainage line. And what's good about seeing that life is that life will tell us a bit more about what's going on here. As I said, they will alarm call. So we're listening to any sounds of alarm calls around here. And we do know that the monkeys were around here for quite some time. Wow, a butterfly just flew. There goes a butterfly. Then he flew onto your camera. That's also what's incredible about this drainage line, is there are so many butterflies. Let's see what we can find down here. So, for anyone who doesn't know where we are right now, we are in the Mawati drainage line. So you can see maybe that here's some elephant tracks going down into the Mawati right here. So that could have very well been the elephant that came and we saw a little bit earlier. Came right down into the drainage line and then all the way up. I tell you, I still have adrenaline from seeing him. He was really, really big. You know, James once used the description that he could walk underneath one of the elephants. I genuinely felt that I could have probably walked under that elephant that we just saw now. And I'm about 5.9, not meters. And I said that once. I'm not 5.9 meters. I'm 5.9 feet. So as we take this. Yes, Raisa, that elephant that we saw was beautiful. I'm glad that you thought so and that you commented, because that is one of the most incredible elephants I've just experienced. So I'm still feeling that adrenaline. And you're asking, I wonder if people do still experience elephants outside of plantations, is that correct? I think by plantations, do you mean reserves? Right, like the Kruger National Park? I know that in Africa there are places where where elephants still move around in rural kind of communities. But I'm not too sure about South Africa. I think most wildlife is contained to reserves, which you'll definitely find in parts of Africa that
Oopsie daisy, it seems as though Sam is disappearing off your screen. The hazards of live wild safaris is that, of course, every now and again there are the most minute of technical glitches, and as I'm sure you can imagine, there are all kinds of interesting technological devices involved in bringing you a live safari. I don't pretend for 1 second to understand how it all works, but it does, and for that we are incredibly grateful, and we stand in awe and admiration of our fantastic tech team who put this all together and fix things when they go terribly, terribly wrong. But hopefully Sam will be back up and running very shortly. Luckily for you, your timing was impeccable as always, or at least Rebecca's timing was impeccable as always, for we have arrived at the Great Plains that form the junction between Mala Mala and Cheetah Plains. Now, yesterday I hear stories that Sam saw a male lion, mystery male lion, walking towards Cheetah Plains without any real idea as to who this lion might be. Now, from what we can tell, there is a chance, there's a couple of options. One was that it was a four-ways male, one was that it was a Charleston male, I think, and one, of course, was something that you all were considering, was whether or not it was in fact a Matimba male. Could it be? Now, I might have been a little bit more skeptical of the idea of it being a Matimba male this far to the north if we hadn't actually got this report that the Matimba males are now on Simbambili. There is a mystery here to be unraveled and to be solved as to which lion it was. I'd love to hear your opinions as to who you thought it was. I thought, briefest glimpse of the screenshots, he was far away. My first thought was that he looked like Hairy Belly, but it's been a long time since I've seen Hairy Belly, many, many months, and it comes as such a surprise to all of us that they've decided to return. What on earth, I wonder, has prompted them to do that? Could it be the impact of the Majingulan males? Apparently there was a little bit of an altercation between the two coalitions at some point. Now, is there a chance that that is the reason behind the move? Or is it because they realize that the Birmingham boys are one member down? I think lots of us are feeling a bit bemused by this news. Again, it just goes to show that there's never any hard or fast rules out here, and that sometimes things just happen unexpectedly. The animals choose to do things. Do you think that the Matimba males know that the Birmingham boys are one member short now? That there are only 4 where there used to be 5? Was that the tipping point for the takeover? Is that what decided it? Because in essence, the Birmingham boys as male lions are not that big. I have definitely seen bigger. The Matimba males were big, strong-looking lions. The Birmingham boys were full of attitude and sass. But essentially, not really. I mean, essentially they're small. They're quite small lions, with the advantage of numbers, certainly, but still quite tiny, and certainly no match for the 2 Matimba males. Well, we'll see. Your guess is absolutely as good as mine as to what this all means. Some strange things have been happening, though. I mean, the return of Junior, we never got to see him, but he certainly was there for a brief period. He could still be there for all that we know, although I think somebody would have found him by now. I think he's moved off again. The return of Junior to Simbambili, and then once after that, the return of the Matimba males, his fathers. It certainly becomes almost, what would be the word? Soap opera-ish in a way. It is the drama of wildlife. And the story takes twists and turns where we very seldom expect them to go. Right, now what I should be doing is actually checking the map as I go along and learning the names of the roads. As it is, I'm pretty confident I know where I am. We're not in any danger of trespassing, and the clearings should be coming up right ahead of us. Perfect. Now, what would we like to see on the clearings today? Would we like to see ostriches, cheetah? I have no idea what waits for us on the other side. Would be nice. Aaron has put forward a request. I don't know if it's a request so much as a wish. Aaron would like to see a genet, either a large spotted or a small spotted. I assume, Aaron, that you are not terribly fussy in that regard. I would love to see a genet as well. I would be terribly excited. It's been a long time since I've seen a genet as well. What I'll do for you, Aaron, is I will at least keep an eye out for genet tracks. You might be able to see them. Genet tracks are probably one of the most perfect little miniature tracks. They're little paw prints, but they're little paw prints about the size of my thumbnail. They're really, really small. Okay. Let's see what these clearings have to offer. I discovered to my, well, surprise, I suppose is probably the best word, that 3 in the row pan is completely dry. It has no water in it. And I have to confess that certainly came as a shock. Aha! Cheetah Plains once again living up to its name. Well, not quite its name, but certainly its reputation. With a pride of ostriches, I believe is the correct collective noun. I wonder what we could do to entice them to come across to this side. And female on the left. Oh, brilliant. Yay. This new camera is so exciting. Well done, Dave. And the 2 strikingly dark males accompanying a second female. She definitely is a little bit more drab than the males. Now one day, hopefully, since Cheetah Plains has been so good at providing us with these opportunities to view ostriches, I hope at some point we might even get to hear the sound that they make. It has been a long time since I've heard an ostrich roar, but let me tell you something, it is quite an extraordinary sound to view coming from a bird. And a very, very warm hello to the first grade class at White Oaks Elementary School and the class belonging to Mr. Smead. Hello and welcome. My name is Jamie and you are looking at the biggest, oh wait, hold on. Let me say hello to you properly first. My name is Jamie, hello, and I have a gentleman sitting behind me whose name is Dave. And Dave is operating the camera and showing you all of these wonderful images. Basically what happens is we are sitting in South Africa in a famous place called the Sabi Sands in the Kruger National Park. So in front of you, behind you, to the side of you, there's 4 million football fields worth of wild area. This whole place has got no fences. There's just wild African animals. And basically what happens is the camera records something and then it goes shooting up through an antenna that's on the back of our car, touches a tower, then goes shooting back up to a satellite that beams it across the world. So what you're seeing now is happening in real life, right here and right now, which means that you guys can actually ask me questions and I can answer them straight away. Now what I want to show you first of all, I'm going to be sure to keep nice and still so that Dave can use his incredible camera skills to zoom right in to these incredible birds. Now, how many of you . 'Cause Now, how many of you know which a particular type of bird this is? For those of you who guessed ostrich, you are absolutely right. That is the boy ostrich on the left and the girl ostrich on the right. You see how much darker the feathers of the boy are. Now in this big open clearing, it's all part of a place called Djuma Arathusa and Cheetah Plains. Now you're going to have to look at a map once this is all finished. Now we're very, very far away from you, right across the Atlantic Ocean, in the top corner of South Africa, a country called South Africa. And hopefully one day in the future, some of you will actually get to come and visit us here and see some of the famous animals. There's lions and leopards and elephant and all other amazing creatures. This bird is, I know it's hard for you to see because it's really, really far away, but this bird is the biggest bird in the world. And he's so big that he actually cannot fly. Instead, they run really, really fast along the ground, covering huge distances. And you can see how he's pecking about on the ground. Rihanna, you were wondering, what do ostriches eat? And the answer, Rihanna, is that they eat different types of plant stuff. So herbs and roots and shoots and the fresh green grass stems, and also seeds. So the grass seeds are also, because you know how the grass seeds have all of the food necessary for a new blade of grass to grow. The ostriches eat that. They're incredible animals, and they don't need to drink a lot of water, which means that they can live here in the open clearings, but they can also live all the way across South Africa in the desert parts where there's less rain. At the moment they're making the most of the green grass because we're coming into winter where we are, and you guys are sort of starting your spring, maybe even summer's on its way. Your temperatures are getting warmer and warmer. Here in the Sabi Sands in South Africa, we're actually getting colder and colder. Although for us, a cold winter, even in the middle of winter, in the middle of the day in the hot African sun, will only go to about sort of maybe between sort of the mid 60s to mid 70s in Fahrenheit. So it's still pretty warm. Now, one of my favorite animals to see in this particular place is actually one of the main predators of the ostrich. Now, I told you that an ostrich can run really, really fast, much faster than you or I can run. They run almost as fast as one other big type of cat, and that is the cheetah. Now, cheetah also like these big open plains. How many of you know what a cheetah looks like? I'm sure most of you do, with its beautiful spots. Now, a cheetah is one of the only animals that is capable of running fast enough to keep up with an adult ostrich and to catch it. And even then, the cheetah's got to fight in front of him because an ostrich, as I said, is a nice big bird. So a cheetah has to be really strong and really quick to catch one and to make sure it stays away from those strong, strong legs. On one of those legs, at the end of that, they have two toes with very, very sharp nails, and they can kick. Now, a big ostrich like these, as they wander away, oh, they might even run for us. You can see how they're fluffing up their feathers. Trey, you were wondering about how much an ostrich will weigh. And because they are birds, even though they're really big flightless birds, they are a lot lighter than a mammal would be of that size. They're probably somewhere, these ostriches, this female that you're looking at now, is probably somewhere in the region of about 70 odd kilograms, which is about 150 pounds. Somewhere between 120 to 160 pounds. So they're lighter than you expect them to be, but for a cheetah, that would be a serious meal because a cheetah only weighs about 50 kilograms, about 100, a normal-sized cheetah, about 120 pounds. So as you can imagine, it is quite the fight in the race. Now Bryson has asked an incredible question. Bryson wants to know why ostriches have feathers when they can't fly. Very, very good point. And Bryson, I'm going to turn that back around to you and say, why do you think penguins have feathers because penguins can also not fly? And I'll tell you what the answer is, although that was a very clever question. The answer is, Bryson, because they need the feathers to keep their bodies warm. So the feathers act as extra insulation. But it's not just that, Bryson. It's actually the fact that all birds come from one common ancestor many, many, many hundreds of thousands of years ago. And that ancestor, in fact, they're one of the closest relatives of the dinosaurs. And you can kind of imagine it. How many of you have seen Jurassic Park? You know the way that the velociraptors run? They sort of look like the way that the ostrich's legs move, don't they? So there was a time when birds were still evolving feathers, and then they changed to different purposes. Some birds use their feathers to fly, some use them to keep them nice and warm, and some use them as protection. So also for the ostrich, it's a nice protective layer to make sure that its bodily organs are safe. I'm going to carry on. I'm going to look for some other wonderful, magical things to show you. In the meantime, there is another person who would like to say hello to you this afternoon, and I think he has some big buffalo as well.
We can see a big buffalo in front of you. Look at the size of those horns. Those are one of the biggest horns I've seen in a while. The two birds that just flew off that buffalo was two oxpeckers, and they just flew onto another buffalo just over here. So we've got quite a few buffalo around us at the moment. So we've got this friend over here with a number of birds on top of his back. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a very, very old buffalo. Those oxpeckers are going to be jumping all over the buffalo to see if it can find any ticks. A tick is a parasite that likes to suck the blood of some of these animals, and these oxpeckers come down and eat them off them. Just wanted to say good afternoon to White Oaks, Mr. Smead and Mrs. McOwen. It is a pleasure to have you out here in the bush with all you kids. Hopefully we'll be able to bring a lot to you this afternoon. We've already got beautiful buffaloes down by a watering hole. If you look closely, have a look at the buffalo that is sitting in the water over there. That is probably a very significant thing that you'll see with big buffalo bulls. They love the water. As you can see, they chew and graze on the grasses, and then they sit in these watering holes during the hot days that we get out here, because they're also trying to get away from the sun. And also the reason I say that, we can see it better with this buffalo that is outside of the water. The skin has deteriorated quite a lot as they get older. So these old men get older and older, these older buffs, and you can see their skin begins to get worn down. Their bosses, which is on the front there, become to not do so well. So they get burnt on their bodies. They sit inside the watering holes and they rub those bosses on their different types of trees to try and clean the parasites from the tree. Look at how those oxpeckers can move around. Jackson would like to know how much a buffalo weighs. They can weigh from 1 to 2 tons. Very, very heavy animals to view. And we've just been with an elephant, so hopefully we can see another elephant with you, and they can get up to 4 tons. They are very, very, very big. I actually just encountered one of the biggest elephants I've ever seen. It was quite a sight to see. But if we look around us at the moment, what else can we see in the bush? There's all sorts of things happening when you open your eyes and listen to the environment. So I've got my cap there. You can see some antelope in the distance there. You can can see some antelope in the distance there, and that is a impala. So there's a number of impala there. They're all females. So those are all females there, unless we can see one with horns, and that's how we tell the difference. We tell the difference between a male and a female impala by looking at the horns. And if they have horns, it is a male impala. So isn't that cool? We've seen an impala and a buffalo this afternoon. Let's see if we can go and find a leopard. We've been on the hunt, or the chase rather, to see if we can find them. We've been looking for tracks, and maybe we'll find them. Rich would like to know, why do they have horns? It's a good question. It's protection. So it's not only to defend themselves from predators, but it's also to, that one's got a chip in its horn. So we can see there that he's been in a couple fights in his time. So often you'll find buffaloes running against each other like this, boom, hitting each other on the bosses. And that's to display dominance, to try and be with the most females in terms of the dominance of the big, large herds. So what we're seeing here, James, is a small group of males. And normally we can find buffaloes in big groups, large groups of buffaloes that will travel far distances together. And these old boys cannot keep up with those herds anymore, so they sit down by the waterine areas, drink water and graze. But luck has it that we've got another antelope out here this afternoon, and just to the left there we can see an Inyala bull. Those horns can get very long. I think I've heard of a horn that can get from around 2 meters wide, which is very big. So they can get very long. You can see over there, you can see an Inyala bull over there, quite long horns itself. So beautiful, and it's very different to the female. So this is an Inyala bull. It almost looks like it's got a big coat on it. The female doesn't have such a coating. As you can see, it's a lot more lighter, and on the left of it is a younger Inyala bull. So you can see quite a mature one to the right of your screen, and on the left is the much younger looking bull. But what is that in the middle between them there? I think that could be a female. So that is the female just in the thicket there.
Also a young bull.
Or is it also a young bull? Yes, you can see the horns in there. So from a distance, so we've got one young bull, sorry, not 3 times young, but just the younger of the lot, and then the one on the left is a little bit older, and the one on the right is your mature Inyala bull. It is exceptionally beautiful. And look at the sun that is shining off it. So we've seen 3 animals in the space of a few minutes. Jamie is with another antelope called a wildebeest. Let's go and have a look and see what it's up to.
It's a beautiful winter evening with the incredible sky, and below it a herd of an antelope called a wildebeest. You might also know it as a gnu, and in this case it is a blue wildebeest. Now this is a breeding herd, so there are a couple of babies moving about as well, and there's actually one hiding in the shade just to the left of a bush there. There we go, you see it there, and it's actually cuddling with mom. Now believe it or not, that little wildebeest was born around the beginning of this year, so around January, end of December or the beginning of January. And just look how big it is now. Isn't that incredible at how fast that animal has grown? Look, he is still attached to mom, giving her a gentle nuzzle. And it's important when you are an antelope in this kind of area to grow as quickly as possible. The reason it's so important to grow as quickly as possible is because there are so many different predators out here that could potentially be looking to eat a wildebeest. They're on everybody's menu. And what that means is that they actually have relatively short life expectancies. I know a lot of you were wondering how long a wildebeest will live for. And if I had to guess, I have to be honest, I don't know exactly how long they live for, but if I had to guess, I would say probably around 10 years old. So quite a short life, kind of like a big dog, maybe 10 to 13 years old. And generally with all animals out here, Shane, little one's still rubbing on mom. Oh, head butter in the bottom. Generally with most animals out here, the males live slightly shorter lives than the females. And that's because they can spend a lot of their time fighting. So we're coming into the breeding season for these animals again, which means that the males are going to be fighting for access to the females in order to have a chance to pass on their genes. Oh, little one's decided that mom's not being very cooperative, hasn't allowed it any milk, and so it's going off to join the rest of the herd. Rihanna, you were wondering about how much a wildebeest weighs, and by the way, I've just checked in my textbook that I always carry with me, because it's impossible for us to know every fact about every animal, but I've just checked, and a wildebeest, I was quite close, but a wildebeest can live up to 15 years old, so that's how long they can live. And Rihanna, in terms of size, they're quite a big antelope. A big male will weigh about 250 kilograms. That's close to 600 pounds, about 550 pounds. The females are a little bit smaller, so they will weigh about close to, sorry, I'm distracted, bear with me 1 second. I just saw an impala running across the clearing. He's all the way on the edge there, Dave. He's sprinting though. I was wondering why it's running away so fast. Oh, it's stopped now. There you go. Well done, Dave, managing to spot that. And in fact, it's a little steenbok who's now hiding behind the bushes. Now, why did that steenbok come sprinting out of the trees and now hide itself under the bushes? Shall we go have a look? There might be something chasing it, maybe not, maybe it was just something that gave it a fright, but I'm not sure about you guys, but I want to go and investigate. Maybe there's a leopard, maybe there's a lion. And Nyla, I know we're leaving the wildebeest, and I'm sorry, but I just have to go and see why that tiny little steenbok was running away. You wanted to know why essentially a wildebeest has a beard that goes all the way down its neck. Why does it have long hair there but not on the rest of its body? And one of the big reasons is because, as you know, your neck, there's a lot of very, very important things that run along your neck, just as the same as with your neck, it's the same for the wildebeest. So we've got important veins and arteries that take blood up to our brains, and there's also our windpipe there. So our trachea where we breathe. And that, for the wildebeest, having a little bit of extra hair might make it difficult, because the first thing a predator does is they grab for the neck. That's what they go for. So having long hair there might make it a bit more difficult for the predator, if it's chasing a wildebeest, to actually get a good grip and to bite through. All right, let's see if any of you can spot the steenbok before I do. I want to know why this little steenbok was so scared. I can see it. Oh, I've spotted it. Let's go see why it's gone running like that. Jordan, while we come up to the steenbok, you wanted to know why a wildebeest has stripes. One of the reasons is that it helps to break up the outline of the wildebeest. So kind of like the way that we know zebra stripes sort of work. What it does is it means, especially imagine you're a predator and you can't see as well as a human being can see. So they can't see color. They can't see color as well as we can. Now just imagine the stripes make it just harder for that lion or a leopard to figure out where the animal begins and where it ends. Here's the steenbok now. He's hiding. He came and was hiding behind one of these bushes. Where did he go, Dave?
I don't see him.
I don't see him either. He vanished. I thought I saw him, but it's disappeared. Okay, well, let's go and investigate where it came running from. Maybe there's a leopard walking through here somewhere. Now, a steenbok, if I can find him for you, is one of my favorite little animals. No, I don't know where he went. He's disappeared. I want to go back on myself though, because the steenbok came running from somewhere off to my left. Now, a steenbok usually doesn't run away from things. It's not like a wildebeest that is very easy to see. The steenboks like to hide away. So if it was running for a good reason. So keep your eyes peeled. I don't see any leopards, but it could just be a leopard wandering through the area. Might not even be hunting, it might just be walking about because the weather's a little bit cool. I'm sure you all would like to see something like a leopard or a lion. Let me see if I can't find one for you. Okay, here's a road that goes exactly where I want to. Now, I'm not sure why that steenbok ran away. You guys want to know if I think it was being hunted. And I'm not 100% sure. He might have been being hunted, but I think if he was, the animal that was chasing him might have been following behind. What I think happened is that a leopard was walking straight towards him and was going to disturb him from his hiding spot, or her, from its hiding spot, hiding in the bushes. And so it started to run away before the leopard could decide, or whatever it was, could ambush it. Let's just stop here. Now, sometimes it's really nice to just stop and listen, because there are lots and lots of eyes in the bush, and a squirrel might start to alarm call. They sound like a witch cackling. But it's all very quiet. Maybe it's just a silly steenbok. Maybe he got a fright for no reason. I'm going to sit here for a little bit and just keep listening. While I do, let's find out what Sam's up to.
Oh, sorry about that. So I just dropped something on the ground, and it was a piece of a termite mound. So I thought I should show you a little something. It looks like it's all these holes here and cavities inside here. So I wasn't quite sure what it was, and I'm just thinking, is it part of a termite mound? So what we have behind here, and it most certainly is, what we have behind here is a termite mound. So you can see this big mound over here is where all these little termites come to eat, and they have all sorts of fungus growing, and they grow at the bottom here. So it's almost like a big tower that they have, and they fill it with dirt, and you can tell if it's active if you can see two types of soil. Ooh, I don't want to fall down this mound. You can see here it's quite dark, and there it's quite light. So it's dark there, and you can tell that it's close and patched up by the different termites out here. And a lot of trees like to grow on these termite mounds. There's a tree over there, and of course you can see the guarri bushes that are growing in this termite mound. So this is where we get a lot of termite mounds. They're all over the Sabi Sands, they're all over southern Africa, and they provide such a rich source of food. There is so much food that comes from termites and feeds many, many populations of animals out here. So let's carry on and see what else we might be able to find. We're going to go see if we can find hyenas. Potentially we might find some hyenas this evening because they get active at the crepuscular time, at the evening time. So when it starts getting dark, that's the best chance. Ooh. Jamie is with a red-billed hornbill. Let's go and have a look.
How many of you have seen The Lion King? And do any of you know Zazu? Well, this is the bird that Zazu was based on. It's called a red-billed hornbill. And whilst we didn't find any leopards or lions hunting steenbok, we did find hornbills hunting insects. And watch the way that these funny little birds fly away. I was going to show you how they were hopping around trying to catch termites in the dung, but they've decided that they're finished with that for the afternoon and they're off to find other things. Now this was a sound that I was listening for. You hear that? Quack, quack, quack. That's the sound of a grey go-away bird. And it's called a go-away bird because it sounds like it's saying, go away, go away. And it will say that to you if you go walking through the bush. It says it. I've had them shout at me before and tell me to go away. But it also says it to lions and leopards. So whilst I think that steenbok was just being silly, I think it just got a fright because maybe a twig snapped or something, and it just, because it's tiny, and a steenbok is very, very tiny. It's like a big terrier. Now, Jaden, you were wondering if that hornbill would bite, and the answer is yes, it would peck. It would peck you if it could. Now, hornbill, in my experience, to be completely honest, hornbill are a little bit stupid. A little bit very stupid. Now, hornbills very often see their reflection in glass windows and they go and they peck at it because they think that it's another rival hornbill that's maybe coming to steal their territory or steal their female. So they'll go and they'll peck at their own reflection in a window. So a hornbill is really good at catching insects, which means that he's got a very strong beak to catch them with. So yes, he or she might decide to bite if a human being ever captured them. Most of the animals out here are capable of defending themselves. And I'm actually going to stop here so that you've got one last view of the wildebeest.
Got them running?
Got them running, awesome. Look at them go. They're playing. The little babies are playing. Oh, got to the adults, it's time to calm down. Settle down a little bit. We've already done and explored whatever the steenbok was running away from, so now we can spend a bit more time with these beautiful antelope. And believe it or not, this is not in any way related to a cow, even though it kind of looks like one. You can sort of see it looks a bit like a cow, but it's actually more closely related to the impala and gazelle and other different antelope species, which in turn are very similar to the deer that you might see all the way where you are. Our wildebeest just happened to be one of my favorite antelope. They're also really quite big. Trey, you were wondering about how long a wildebeest legs are. Now, it's difficult for me to show you exactly, so what I'll try and do, Trey, is when this wildebeest comes out again, if this wildebeest comes out again, nope, he's decided he wants to stay, but we'll have a look at that one instead. Trey, I'm not a very tall person. I'm about 5'7", if that makes any sense, and I'm sure your teacher will help to give you a little bit of a perspective of scale. So a wildebeest leg is about 2.5 feet in height. It would probably come up to close to my hip bone. Their legs are almost probably about the same length as my legs. Except for the little ones, like this baby, his legs are much shorter. Now there is an animal with much, much longer legs than the wildebeest, much longer legs than me, and in fact much longer legs than almost anything out here. And let's see if you can guess what it is, because that's right, Sam has one of the tallest creatures out there.
So, what legs are those? Orange. Got some dark spots. They're really long. Look at that body. It's quite big. Oof, we're starting to get to a neck that's... Ooh, it's not small. It's getting bigger. It's a giraffe. We found a giraffe that's eating on an acacia thorn. Isn't that cool? And it's a female giraffe. We can tell that it's a female because there's a little fur on top of her head. But look how beautiful she is, and look how long those legs are. She really is a beautiful looking giraffe. There she goes. So lucky we just got you in time to see one of the if not the tallest animal in Africa. There she is again. You can just see her head popping around. I'm just gonna... So it is the world's largest land mammal. The whole world's biggest land mammal. I'm going to get to another position where we can have a look at her. Look how she has to... Sorry, I meant to say the tallest. The biggest is the elephant, the tallest is the giraffe. So big elephant, tall giraffe, and you can see how far she has to bend down to get that tongue onto that tree there. And you can see, if we're lucky enough, we can have a look at her tongue, and her tongue is 45 centimeters long, which is very long. If you can get a ruler out, take a ruler and then halve the ruler and put that next to the other ruler. So 45 centimeters. Our rulers here in South Africa are 30 centimeters. I'm not sure how big yours are. There we go, there she is. She truly is beautiful. So that is 17 inches. 17 inches is the size of her tongue. And you can see how black it is. It's really, really dark. There we go, you got to see it. And the reason they have such dark tongues is so that they can eat the plants that are very, very thorny. So as she moves off, I'm going to take you to a plant that is very, very similar to what she's eating. Actually, we can actually have a look after she's eaten off this tree. So, you would like to know how tall a giraffe is. Is that from Alicia? Is that right? Alicia would like to know that. They can get up to Asia Lee would like to know how tall a giraffe can get to. They can get up to 15 feet. 15 feet. That's really, really, really tall. Is she? So that is just a female. The males can get quite a lot bigger than this female that we're walking in front of us right now. So this is a female that is often followed by a male, so we might just be lucky enough to see the male around here. I'm just going to drive on a little bit. If we just look at this tree just in front of us here, look at all the bumps and knobs on this tree. That's the exact tree that she's been eating on. It's called the knobthorn. So as you can see all those knobs on the tree, that's where it gets its name from. And it also has quite a few sharp edges on it. So if we just go into shot, so we can actually have a look at the sharp edges on this tree here. And that is the same, the whole class would like to know why giraffes have spots. Well, it is evolved. They've evolved to have spots, and it's an adaptation to camouflaging to the environment. It might help them move around the bush a little more safely. It helps them kind of go against trees and be a little bit more camouflaged within the trees. So it's all about camouflage out here in the bush. So they need to be camouflaged because of some of the predators that are out here. So you get some big predators like lions and the leopards that might eat the young ones, especially the young ones. These big ones are much harder to take down, but a group of lions wouldn't be scared. And you call a group of lions a pride of lions. So there we go, that you could just see the giraffe eating on the same tree that we just showed you, and we showed you those thorns. So can you imagine eating food at night time with your supper that has thorns in it? Wow, that would be quite uncomfortable. I can't say that I've ever enjoyed a meal that has thorns in it. Let's carry on. So over here is our largest. So what we see in front of us on the dashboard here is an elephant. And hopefully we can find the elephant. If we're lucky enough, we'll be able to see it. So it is the largest land mammal, and that's the tallest. Still going, you can see her, she's really enjoying this tree. And she's quite enjoying our company. She's just been walking next to the road. Have a look at the top of her head. Can you see those little horns coming out? They're called ossicones. So if there's fur on top of it, if you see that the top of those horns are quite furry, that means that she's a female. And now you can quite clearly see how black her tongue is. There we go. So the males will use those horns to fight against other males, and that's why we can tell the difference between a male and a female often by looking at those horns, because the female has fur on the top and the male doesn't, because he's been fighting with other males. So hopefully if we get to see a male, I'll show you the top of their heads. You'll notice they don't have any fur on the top of their ossicones because they swing their necks. You can imagine those large necks are swinging like this, swinging those necks and hitting the other males, and that will deteriorate and make their horns go a little bit flatter than that of a female. So that's how we tell the difference. And it's incredible to watch a big giraffe. Guys, are you asking me if I've ever seen a giraffe fight? I've definitely seen a giraffe fight. It was the funnest thing to watch, really. I mean, fun is not the right word. It was interesting to watch. It was these really, really tall animals, you know. It's quite awkward watching them fight, you know, because all they can fight with is their neck. Imagine going and fighting with your neck. It would be quite hard, don't you think? So I have seen that before, and it's quite an interesting thing to see. Hopefully when you come through to South Africa one day, you get to see that. Jaden would like to know, how long do giraffes live for? Well, it's different, of course, with every single giraffe. There's all sorts of influencing factors, but the general age that they can live to, the life expectancy, is plus or minus 20 years with a giraffe. Look how beautiful you are. There she is in the evening sunlight. She's just been following the roads. She's enjoying the same sort of tree. So her scientific name, which is a name that they get when they, you know.
We found the reason why the steenbok was running. It wasn't being hunted, but it did spot something we didn't, something with spots. 2 male cheetah. Now, I actually had already left this area, and I drove and I saw their tracks, and then I knew exactly why that steenbok was behaving like this. There you go. We were speaking about cheetah earlier, and here we've got 2 beautiful males. We've got to go quickly. I'm going to try and get a bit closer because they're about to cross our boundary. Ah, yay, how exciting is that? The 3rd biggest cat that you get out here in the wild and the fastest animal, and they've just spotted the wildebeest. We're going to stop and we're going to switch off because the wildebeest haven't seen them. And we don't want to mess up their hunt if that's what they want to do. Look how still the one in front has gone. Aren't they beautiful? They're stalking. They're going to look to see if they can get close to a bush. They're still quite far away from the wildebeest. They're not going to sprint yet. They're gonna keep stalking. They're gonna get closer and closer, staying behind the trees for as long as possible. And only when they're close enough are they gonna start to run. There are the wildebeest there in front of me. So they're still far away. And these cheetah are empty-bellied. They're looking very, very hungry. So we can watch them for now. They're just going to creep up bush by bush by bush. A tight bond between 2 male cheetah. Look at the way it's looking, yes. Stalking together. You can see how much bigger the one behind is than the other. Oh, perfect. Beautiful. They've decided to stop for now. Just enjoy a bit of roll in the dirt. You guys wanted to know how fast a cheetah can run. And the answer is about 100 kilometers per hour, which is, they can easily run 60 to 70, probably about 70 miles would be the fastest that a cheetah can go. See how carefully they're concentrating. Now watch their tails twitching from side to side, just like your pet cats might do. Now you guys wanted to know how come I knew they were boys. What is the difference between a male and a female cheetah? And there's a couple of differences, but for the most part it's actually really difficult to see the difference. But a female cheetah is almost always on her own, unless she has babies with her. So if she has cubs, then they will be with her, otherwise she moves about on her own. But cheetah males hardly ever are on their own. What they do is they form what's called a coalition of brothers. Look how orange his eyes are. So brothers or cousins will move about together because having lots of them helps for them to keep a territory. Oh, big cat stretch. And a big yawn. See those fierce teeth? Unfortunately, Mr. Smead's class have to go about the rest of their school day, but I'm so glad that you got to see the cheetah. So I'm going to say goodbye and thank you from Dave and myself. I hope you have a wonderful day, kids, and maybe we will see you next time on safari. Bye-bye. Now, for the rest of our audience who are still with us, of course, and I certainly hope that you are because this is an exciting moment, just bear with me for 1 second because I need to call these cheetah in. Stations, if anyone can copy me, I've got 2 Madura Skankank on the Mala Mala boundary of the CP Open. Look at them sneaking forward. Using the trees as cover, the wildebeest remain completely unaware. They've got one disadvantage. That big female is between them and the calves, and it's the calves that they want to go after. Oh, they're getting closer now. Stalking in. And we're just going to be quiet for the moment. Cheetah have such a low success rate that the last thing we want to do is jeopardize their hunt. Luckily, we've got this open plain in front of us. I'm actually going to take my lapel mic in my hand and just keep it there so we can speak softly. And now we play a waiting game. And so do the cheetah. They're going to stay hidden behind that bush for as long as possible. And I think almost work in the hope that those wildebeest are going to come closer to them. I think that's going to be the last view that we have of those cheetah for now, until they decide whether or not they're going to invest any energy in this hunt. This is so exciting. This is what we've been waiting for in this open clearing. To see a cheetah really stretch out and go to its full speed. And in this beautiful clearing, we'll be able to see it perfectly. Oh, the wildebeest has lifted. Nope, she's gone back to feeding. Did you know something? I nearly left this area. But something was bugging me about that Steenbok's behavior. There she go. There they go. This is incredible. Oh, wildebeest has spotted it. Where's she? She hasn't alarm called her. She's gone back to feeding. That's incredible. She looked right at it. I was certain that the game was up. Step by step, inch by inch. The second brother moving forward to join. And even 2 males like this would have a hard job taking down an adult female. It's the calves they want to get to. But are they going to try? I can't believe how close they've got. This wildebeest hasn't seen them. Okay. They're lying down for now, so we can have a slightly closer look. Soon. Oh, head flat. The wildebeest has spotted them. Or she's seen something. She's seen movement. That's why that cheetah dropped its head. Oh, she's relaxed again. Oh, she's caught wind of them. She can smell them, but she doesn't know where they are. It's a standoff. They're probably about 30 meters from each other now. Cheetah can cover that distance in a split second. But I think the game might be up. Oh. And that might be that. The game is up. They've been seen. The question is, are they desperate enough to still attempt a hunt? The rest of the wildebeest are now aware of what's going on. And Snoop, I don't think we have. I don't think we've ever seen a cheetah kill on cheetah plains before. We might, maybe while I was on leave, we might have seen them feeding, but we certainly haven't seen a hunt. Well, nope, game is up. Now, are they going to do what lions sometimes do, which is just kind of brazenly walk towards the wildebeest in the hope that the wildebeest will be too stupid to run away? And believe it or not, these cheetah have actually played their cards right perfectly. The reason I say that is because a cheetah absolutely cannot afford to waste its energy, so they had to try and get as close as possible before even attempting a burst of speed. So whilst that might, oh, there we go. The wildebeest not fooled. They know what the cheetah are up to. Okay, we can move now, because the cheetah have been spotted. There they are there. So we can get a little bit closer because it is getting quite dark. Harder and harder to see. The wildebeest now sprinting. Oh, the cheetah are thinking about it. Wildebeest dashing off. The cheetah gave a very half-hearted chase. There's one's going to come. Oh, and there's a jackal at the back. There's the jackal, the black-backed jackal, watching the goings-on. The cheetah gave a sort of a half-hearted trot after the wildebeest, and now eyeing up the jackal. I'm not sure where the second cheetah's gone. Let's move up further ahead. I'm going to do this fairly quickly. The wildebeest streaming across in front of us. Not at a full-out run, but keen to put a little bit of distance between themselves and the big cats. Alarm calling. Here come the cheetah. Not quite fully deterred. They're hungry. And night is falling. Oh, time to scent mark quickly. Ooh, there we go. Males at their regular patrol points. Then the jackal looking on. Now we know these males fairly well. In fact, I feel as though we know these male cheetah well enough that we might need to start distinguishing between the two as they move towards each other. The jackal looks almost perplexed. He's just waiting for his chance to enjoy a little bit of the remnants of a potential cheetah kill. Our cheetah are going to now disappear off, so let's enjoy our last few moments with them. Computer eyes, are there any females in this area? Not 100% sure. Probably yes. Cheetah and male and female dynamics are fascinating. As I'm sure most of you know, the cheetah is one of the few mammals where they need a male population bias. In other words, they need more males than females for their population to grow successfully. Females have absolutely enormous home ranges, often almost to the point of being nomadic. Okay, I'm gonna reposition one last time, so just bear with me because they're gonna keep walking along this open area. And I want to just get us closer. We'll come back to the poor disoriented wildebeest. I just don't want to lose the cheetah. And while we were watching that hunt, Chelsea, you were wondering why a cheetah's ears twitch. And the answer is two things. Oh, there they go. That's going to be the last that we get of them. So let's just enjoy them while they disappear. Unfortunately, it is getting very dark, and as you know, we cannot spotlight diurnal animals, particularly diurnal predators. Oh, another scent mark. Kelsey, they twitch because of the flies. Here we go, he's urine spraying on the tree. And I also suspect that there is an aspect of visual communication to those twitches. So just like with lions, we've spoken about this before, and there's actually a lot of ongoing research into the dynamics of a coordinated hunt. Don't you think it makes sense that these two boys have a way of talking to each other, planning which way which one is going to go, depending on what the wildebeest do? Because I certainly do. And I think that those ear twitches could well contribute in some way. Awesome camera giving us those last few moments with our cheetah brothers. One of the interesting outcomes of the dynamic between the males and females of cheetah is that, Darlene, yes, you are absolutely right in what you've read. Most of the time, cheetah do not commit infanticide. Oh, I thought he was going to give us a good stretch up and a claw mark. Is he going to do it? Come on, boy. Give us a good stretch up. Oh, no. Just going to spray. Aren't they beautiful? So Darlene is correct in the essence, in sort of the bare essentials. Cheetah very seldom commit infanticide. As to the reasons why they do that, whether or not they run the risk because the females are so nomadic of potentially killing their own cubs, or whether there are different reasons behind it. It does happen, Darlene. It has happened. I have heard of it happening. But for the most part, it is very, very rare that they do commit infanticide. I'm not 100% sure about the reasons behind that. I think it's more to do with the enormous home ranges and the sort of less set territorial boundaries. Oh, itchy neck, itchy chin, big shake. And off they go. Come back this way, boys. Don't go that way. What an awesome end to the afternoon. Dave, how exciting was that?
Amazing.
Super exciting. Dave's absolutely right. It was amazing. And I'm sure you were all sitting with your hearts in your throats just as we were. And as I said, they played that well. They got as close as they could. They didn't have the opportunity to commit to that burst of speed, and they haven't wasted any energy at all. The cheetah has limited resources, and the sprints of those enormous top speeds really take it out of them. So they have to make sure that when they commit to a hunt, there's a high chance of it being successful. And just think, all of this thanks to one Steenbok behaving a little bit weirdly. And I'm certain that he's somewhere with his heart in his throat as well. Yes, wildebeest, all huffing and puffing. They're gone now. They're very far away. And as our cheetah disappear from view completely into Mala Mala, we come to the end of an extraordinary sighting. Truly enjoyable. I'm going to continue on since Cheetah Plains has spoiled us so profusely. In the meantime, let us find out how Sam's afternoon is going.
On the tree over here we have 2 tawny eagles. Have a look at how beautiful these eagles are. They've got a significant hook in their beak. There's a little bit of yellow there that can tell us that that is a tawny, but they are standing together on this tree, looking out into the horizon. As the sun sets over the Sabi Sands, you can hear the sound of the rutting impalas, which means the male impalas that are fighting and growling with each other. Impalas is the antelope that we saw a little bit earlier when we were with those buffaloes. Incredible to see. Let me just show you a picture of it. Tawny eagle. Oh, okay. This tawny eagle, the tawny eagle is, sorry about this, the tawny eagle. Ooh. There we go, the tawny eagle. Sorry, not taking so long. There is the beautiful tawny eagle. And that is what we are seeing on the tree just to the left of us. So you have just had the most incredible sighting with Jamie. I'm so happy. I can't tell you how happy I am to hear that you saw a jackal, an ostrich, and cheetah. I'm so happy to hear that. What a cool sighting. Well done, Jamie, really. I'm very happy for you to have seen that. I still haven't seen an ostrich and a jackal, and to see an ostrich, a jackal, and a cheetah in one afternoon, you must be a very special person and a very good guide. So well done, Jamie. Very, very, very happy for you. We are going to see if we can find a leopard. I keep saying that we are going to find leopard today, and we are off to see if we can find any tracks, or maybe see them walking off into the distance. So cheetah is something we don't see quite often out here, and I just really want to find a leopard so that you guys can all have a good distinguished features, so you can really see in one afternoon the difference between a cheetah and a leopard. So Liam has got his eyes peeled. I'm getting my torch out, and we're going to see what we might be able to find this afternoon. Finn, who is aged 8. Finn, they are part of the same family group, which is the feline family group, and they're pretty much cousins, and they are different in the sense that the leopard is a little bit bigger, a little bit stronger than the cheetah, but the cheetah is the fastest animal out on the bush, in the bush. And you'll find that the cheetah has a lot of spots, whereas the leopard has rosettes. And leopard like to carry things. They bite over the neck of an impala or something that they've killed, much like you saw them stalking wildebeest I hear. How cool. They could have, a leopard would kill something and carry it up a tree, whereas a cheetah can't do that. So you'll just find cheetah on the ground feeding on animals, whereas a leopard. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to give you, just while we listen to any sounds of any animals getting flushed out the bush or an alarm call of something, we are going to quickly show you the difference between a leopard and a cheetah. so that you can understand the... Right, so there's our friend the cheetah that you've just been with. And if you can quite clearly see the spots on the cheetah, have a look at all those spots, you got to see that. And much longer legs, much more, almost like an athlete, looks like more of a runner. And it's got those long stripes beneath its eyes there. So that is a cheetah, and that is a lion, and that is a leopard. So can you see that? Much stockier, which means it's a lot, bigger, stronger. It looks like it's been going to gym, or it's a strong animal that is able to carry all sorts of prey up a tree. So that is the rosettes. So now you can quite clearly see the rosettes in the pattern of the leopard. So I'm going to show you one more time. Have a look at those rosettes one more time, and they will be able to show you the difference between that and the cheetah, which is spotty. Look at how spotty the cheetah is. So I hope that helps you in identifying the difference between a leopard and a cheetah. And another big difference between the two is that where Jamie is at the moment, which is the big open areas of cheetah plains, that's where you'll most likely find cheetah, in those open areas. Where you'll find leopard is in the thick bush where there's lots of trees and lots of bushes. So VM and I are out here and we are looking for the leopard.